What's up, y'all? I'm just sitting here studying and practicing on my iPad. Nah, I was just playing the game. What's up, though? How you doing? I know the real reason why you're here. You're here because you feel like quitting. And I'm here to tell you why you shouldn't. You know what that is? It's a heartbeat. Since your first time seeing a heartbeat on a monitor, it's not a straight line. It goes up and down. And you know what? That's exactly how progress works. At the beginning of learning English, you feel excited. You learn new words, you understand new phrases, and everything seems to be clicking. You feel like a sponge, just soaking knowledge up every day. You watch a movie, and then suddenly you recognize a phrase that you just learned. You order food in English, and the cashier understands you perfectly. Feels amazing. But then something changes. Suddenly, the words don't come as easily. You start forgetting things. You mix up the past tense with the present tense. You hear a new word, and instead of getting all excited about it, you get frustrated. Like, did I not know that word already? You start to feel stuck. And that's when self doubt starts creeping in. You start asking yourself, am I just not good at learning new languages? Why is it so much harder now? Maybe I'll never be fluent. This is called the dip. And right now, you might be in it. Here's the secret. At that low point, right down there, if you keep on going through that low point and come out of the dip, you're going to be much stronger. Most people quit right there. This is the point where learning stops being easy. It starts feeling like real work. That bottom point right there, that's when you know the honeymoon phase is over, but not for you. Because today, we're going to talk about how to push through it, how to come out fluent on the other side. If you've ever felt like giving up, this message is for you. Now, you may want to know why this dip happens in the first place. Why is this dip happening? Why is that low point existing? Well, the answer is, at least one of the reasons, is that you stop seeing fast progress. Let me give you an example. Use my favorite measuring tape example. At the beginning, learning English feels like measuring progress like this. The next day, like that. The next day, like that. You're making big steps. You're learning a lot in a little bit amount of time. You're learning miles of information. You go from knowing nothing to knowing a lot in a short amount of time. It's like going from crawling to running pretty much. You start speaking basic sentences. You understand full conversations. You even start thinking in English. But after a while, progress slows down. Suddenly, it feels like you're only making tiny movements. Feels like you're going back to baby steps. You're only learning inches when before you were learning miles. I mean, now you learn a few new words a day, but you forget them the next day. You understand the conversation, but you can't come up with a response. It's frustrating, isn't it? Does that mean you're not learning? No. It just means you're in the part of the journey where progress is slower and it's more permanent. At the beginning, you were memorizing. Now you're internalizing. There's a difference between the two. One is about knowing, and the other is about owning. At first, you were just gaining knowledge of English, and now you're trying to command and take over English. That takes time. The second reason why you might be feeling this dip or experiencing this dip is your brain. It's rewiring itself. When you first start learning English, your brain is like this: messy, confused. It's trying to untangle everything. It went from one language, seeing images and describing it in that language, to looking at the same image and trying to find a completely different way to express it. At first, you were making fast progress because your brain was working with fresh and new information. But then your brain started to realize, hey, wait a minute, we're really doing this? This isn't just a short-term memory exercise? And that's when it slows down. When your brain realizes that you're serious about this change, it starts to slow down. Why? Because now your brain is trying to rewire itself for fluency. It knows that you're taking this serious and it's doing everything in its power to make sure you're fluent. It's not just storing words anymore. It's reorganizing them. It's making connections. It's creating new pathways. Think of it like building a house. At first, you start stacking bricks fast. But once you reach the second floor, you have to slow down. You have to reinforce the foundation. That's not failure. That's called being smart. Your brain calls it deep learning. And if you stay in the game, you're going to come out on the other side with a stronger, more natural understanding of English. The third reason the dip happens is that you're focusing on mistakes. I know I said this before, and I probably said it in a couple of these motivation videos, but it's true. I have to state the obvious. Some of you feel stuck because you keep focusing on what you're doing wrong. I make too many mistakes. I can't get this grammar rule right. I sound terrible when I speak. But guess what? If you notice your mistakes, that means you're improving. A beginner or an emergent learner, they wouldn't even know they're making a mistake. A beginner would probably say, I make many mistakes and not even knowing it's wrong. You know why this is wrong? If you know why this is wrong, that's progress. So instead of getting discouraged, celebrate it. Every mistake means you're on the right path to fluency. Mistakes aren't failures. Mistakes are opportunities to learn. And finding those mistakes on your own, that's the proof that you're learning. So how are we going to push through this dip? We have to focus on the next small win. When you feel stuck, set a tiny goal for this week. Not a big goal. Not, oh, I'm going to be fluent in 6 months. No, just one small win. Maybe for this week, you say to yourself, I'm going to learn 5 new words. Maybe it's writing one sentence every day in a journal. Maybe it's having just one single conversation in English. You don't need to be fluent overnight. You just need to move forward. All right? Step number 2 to get out of this dip is you have to change how you learn. When one of these gets old and tired and boring or frustrating, go to the next thing. When you get tired of flipping through pages and jotting down notes with a pen, you can visit another app or download a new learning game. There are so many resources in your local library, even in your very home, that can help you with English. So if learning starts to feel boring, just switch it up. If you always study from books, start listening to podcasts. If you're watching too many YouTube videos, go ahead and grab an interesting nonfiction book. If you're always using a dictionary to memorize vocabulary, try speaking with a language partner. If you're always studying alone, find a group and join it. If you always focus on reading, try watching English shows on TV. Sometimes the dip happens because learning starts to feel stale. So shake things up a bit. Make it exciting again. Just like when you first started on your journey. Remember the first day when I started doing this motivational series? I asked you to write down what? Your why. I asked you to write down the reason why you decided to start learning English. I wrote down why I started teaching English. And I still have that reason right now. Why did you start learning English? Was it for your job? For your family? For your dreams? Go ahead. Write it down. Keep it where you can see it. Every day when you wake up, you should have your eyes on that why. Because on the hardest days, when you feel like giving up, your why is what's going to keep you going. Look, you're closer than you think. That dip is temporary. It feels like you're stuck, but you're not. You're just in the part of the journey where the real learning happens. This is how fluency is built. And if you keep going, You're going to come out on the other side. And when you do, you're going to be stronger. You're going to be more confident. You're closer to fluency more than ever before. So please don't stop now. Trust me, you're closer than you think. Keep going. I'll see you in the next one.